I know that in 10 years, this is going to be really big. It's nice to be a pioneer of something.
The Seawolves' breakout success has elevated interest in rugby and launched a new sports culture in Seattle. He excelled at baseball but took a swing at writing and shared Seattle's greatest moment in hockey history.
There's part of me that felt like it was an opportunity to do justice to these guys and tell their story.
And it dates back centuries, but lawn bowling's appeal is on the rise.
Yes!
These stories and more next on CityStream. Hi, I'm Tatevik Aprikyan, and welcome to a special sports edition of CityStream from the Jefferson Park Lawn Bowling Club. These beautifully manicured greens have held court for 77 years, hosting some of the finest players on earth. In the past decade alone, this club has produced 8 national champions. Lawn bowling dates back to the 13th century, and it's evolved through the years, but rolling these oblong bowls, as they're called, takes great skill, precision, and the right touch. We'll show you a little later. The Seattle Seawolves began play in 2018, winning a championship in their first season, and the professional rugby team is off to the playoffs this year too. So rugby's long been popular in our area, but the Seawolves' success has ignited the fan base, attracting sellout crowds. It's building a new culture in Seattle around the sport that's now being played globally.
I think there's such a natural rugby community here, and there's a big population of rugby players that find themselves in Seattle somehow.
One of the reasons why Seawolves are so successful is because the culture was here already.
It's just been not really noticed until professional rugby came here.
It's a crazy, fast-flowing sport, 80 minutes of non-stop action.
Flowing game, you play both attack and defence.
The ball can be turned over at any point in the game.
When you're watching it, you can't look away because you might miss something. Which makes it exciting because you feel like you're a part of it.
We rarely use protective equipment compared to football. We'll wear a mouth guard and maybe strap your ankles and then off you go. There's big hits, there's loud fans, and it's, like I said, non-stop.
When I heard about the league starting over here, I just couldn't, say no to this opportunity. It comes to States where I feel rugby is going to explode.
I never thought in a million years that we'd actually have a team in Seattle and a professional team on top of that.
Growing up in Australia, everyone wants to be a cricketer or a rugby player or something like that, So, coming here and seeing rugby develop as quite a new sport, but quite an exciting sport, it's been quite good. Seattle's got such a good connection to the community.
So before every Seawolves home game at Starfire Stadium, we get a bunch of kids together, we get the players out and they get to get involved with the kids. We play a bunch of rugby style games.
No, well done, good skills.
Teach them a little bit of how to hold the ball, run with the ball, work with their teammates, which is huge in rugby, is just to work as a team and not as individuals.
Don't get tagged, don't get tagged. Okay,
Just to get hold of a rugby ball, run around, meet a few of the players themselves. There's not many professional teams out there that the kids get to actually interact with the players pre-game.
In Seattle, Pacific Northwest in general, we want kids to grow up and want mum and dad to get them a rugby ball for Christmas, to get them a new pair of rugby boots so they can come out to training.
1, 2, 3, rugby!
They're the best fans. They want your autograph. They think you're a superhero, especially when you remember their name, remember who they are, and you're 10 times even bigger and just much more impactful. So I love having the kids here.
Hey, come for the ball. Come.
You know, after your career, you eventually want the game to get passed on, you know, to the next generation. That's a big thing for me and something that I'm really proud about, because as a kid that grew up in Seattle playing rugby here, you know, to see more kids actually start playing the game, it's, you know, it just shows continual growth of the sport. The one thing about rugby is that anybody can play it. It's a very inclusive sport. There's a position for everybody, whether you're short, small, big, skinny, tall. Everyone has a place in rugby, you know, to actually make a difference or have an impact in the games.
I know for a fact that women's rugby in America and even Australia is one of the fastest growing sports now that it's an Olympic sport, and to see young girls, you know, wanting to play rugby and young kids to see that as a dream or a passion, that's awesome. And that's our goal, especially now in America, is to grow that and want kids to be future MLR stars or Olympians or whatever it be, you know.
3, 2, 1, Quake!
You know, we have the Quake, which is a gay community, you know. They're very involved in our rugby community here in Seattle. It's very inclusive, you know. There's no bias in the sport, which I really love.
You know, you'll see 4,500 people sitting in these stands every week.
You can feel the passion on the field. You can feel it when you're playing. You can feel the passion from the crowd. The best way to learn and to get caught is to actually come to a game. That's half the beauty of the sport in America, is you've got people that know rugby sitting next to people that have no idea what's going on in the field, but they're still coming to the games to watch because of the atmosphere. I think the best thing we can do is introduce more and more people to the game. Hopefully they bring their kids if they've got kids as well, and every game, if they can leave knowing a little bit more, you know, we're going in the right direction.
I know that in 10 years, this is going to be really big. It's nice to be a part of like a pioneer of something.
I think every kid has a desire to play professionally for their city. You know, I look up at the fans and I see everyone from when I played with when I was in Little League all the way to men's, you know, that I'm currently playing with. And it's just an awesome place to be a part of.
If you want to keep up with the Seawolves' latest news, just go to their website, seattleseawolves.com. And welcome back from the Jefferson Park Lawn Bowling Club. A lot of people associate the sport with the older crowd, but lawn bowling has recently attracted younger generations, maybe lured by nostalgia or a willingness to unplug and interact face to face. Ian DeVere takes a look.
So the object of the game is to get your bowl as close to that little white jack as possible.
Okay. And if you hit it and move it?
That's okay.
Lawn bowling appeals because there is nothing finite about it. It's always changing.
I think it's a very elegant game.
It's a game that is competitive and yet low key. It's calm.
It's easy to get discouraged, you know, and if you lose your cool, it's, you know, it'll show when you bowl.
Focusing is the utmost.
Right, it does take a lot of concentration when you're in your game.
Oh, lawn bowling is lots of fun. The game is fun, and if you're not having a good game, then the people are always fun too.
It's one of those games that is really easy to learn and hard, you know, to master, and it becomes just fascinating.
if I can sneak in the back door there. Oh, come on.
Well, yeah. Yeah, you're close. Wow, that's nice.
So it helps to talk to it, huh? Oh, yeah, definitely.
Tonight is our open bowls, where we open the greens to the public.
So what we can do is we can get you guys some bowls.
All right.
All right, should we do that?
Okay.
The barbecue and bowls on Friday nights when we're open to the public. And we have members come and volunteer to instruct for people who haven't bowled before.
Nice bowl. Nice bowl.
So here's your bowl. And you'll note it is not perfectly round. It is an oblong shape. I like teaching people how to bowl. Those who can't do teach. I feel good with my bowl. And then I'm just gonna let it go. It's gonna sail off my fingers. It's gonna love it. It's gonna land next to the jack.
For me, what this place is more about is community.
Good luck. Sally coming today?
Yeah. It's a great mix of people.
Nobody's excluded, so that's a really nice thing about this club.
Oh, beauty, John. It doesn't matter how old you are.
This club is one of the most thriving clubs in the country. Jefferson Park has a younger membership than most.
People of all ages, sort of, considering that I'm on the younger end of the all ages.
Lawn bowling has this stigma attached to it about being for old people. Now, I have become one of the old people who lawn bowls. It suddenly crept up on me and I didn't realize it was happening.
The old guys are treacherous. You know, they are. They you know, they don't lose their cool. They've been doing it a long time. They have smooth delivery, and they don't let the ups and downs of any game take them out of their zone.
Yes! The old farts can still do it. I had a wonderful compliment the other day that I was told I still play like a 35-year-old. That was the greatest thing somebody could say to me.
You can come up here, it's beautiful.
The location of Jefferson Park is about the best you will find in many countries.
And the rockets red glare, the bombs bursting.
I am delighted to have such skilled competitors gathered here for the 2011 National Championships.
Very exciting. We had them in '98, and we put on a good show. And I think this year we're going to put on an even better show. You need to be concentrating all the time. You can't let your energy flag.
It's a lot of concentration, especially in tournaments. If you're in the right headspace, you're going to be very difficult to beat.
There is a zen to lawn bowling. If you get in the groove, there is nothing you can't do.
When you bowl the good ball, you know it when it leaves your hand that the weight is right.
Is you just get totally engrossed in the game. It's addictive that way. So it got me.
I can only express great satisfaction that this club is filled with a lot of younger people trying to attain mastery of this silly game that we play. It's fun. What more could you ask for?
If you'd like a lesson in lawn bowling, just go to seattlebowls.org. And the popular Friday night barbecue and bowls also starts up soon. And stick around, the president of the club joins us next. We'll be right back. And welcome back from the Jefferson Park Lawn Bowling Club. I'm here with the president of the club, Gina Tolentino. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Well, tell me a little bit about what you personally find so enjoyable about the sport.
Well, I love this game because it's easy to play and it's something that I can come and sort of like work on my shots and zen out on, but it's also very social. So I've met a lot of people and we all play together. And so that's one thing I love about it.
It's kind of a mix of both. You've got that team sport aspect and then you can master your own skills by
like
yourself.
Any sport, and you just keep doing your reps and working on it. Yeah.
Well, tell me a little bit about the social aspect of the sport too. I mean, we talked about it attracting that older crowd, but recently it's gained interest with the younger generation.
I think so too, especially people in this neighborhood. They come up and see people out here on the greens and they want to try it. And we have kids that are, we have teenagers that play all the way up to folks in their 80s, sometimes 90s.
One of your members is going to the Asia Pacific Games.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about her. You guys must be pretty proud of this accomplishment.
We're really, really proud of her. She came to the bowling club and wasn't sure that she was going to be able to do anything after some health issues. And now she's competing and representing our city and our country in Australia. So.
When is that?
She's leaving on Sunday, and I think it's next weekend for a whole week. And that will qualify her for the World Championships in 2020. Wow.
So for someone like me who's never tried the game, how do you go about getting started?
Well, we give a free intro lesson to anyone who is interested in the game, so I would be willing to show you right now if you'd like.
Yeah, let's try it.
Let's do it.
Okay.
So this is what you call a bowl, like a bowl of cereal. And it is not perfectly round, it's sort of oblong shaped. So what it's designed to do is to curve as it rolls. So you don't actually aim right at the jack, which is the little white ball. You actually aim to the side and you have it kind of curl in.
Okay.
All right?
Okay.
So I'm going to step on the mat. You start with 2 feet on the mat. You can actually just have one, but it doesn't matter. You will just step forward on 1 foot and roll as low as you can get.
And these are pretty heavy.
They're pretty heavy. They're somewhere between 2 and 3.5 pounds.
Okay. And it's just a gentle roll to get it across the lawn. Okay. And
Beautiful.
How do you win?
That's perfect. You win by getting all of your bowls closest than your opponent's. So you might only get 1 point if you have one closest than your opponent. You might get 4, which is great.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's keep playing.
All right.
There you have it. Thanks so much for joining us, Gina. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
And
Thank
for the
you.
lesson, a little bit more practice here. We'll keep practicing. Here's what's coming up next on CityStream. Seattle's hockey history chronicled by a man with a different perspective on sports and life. Okay, now that I got a lesson, let's see if I can really do this. These are actually pretty heavy. Close. A little bit more practice. So our next story is about hockey, and you may remember that the Seattle Metropolitans won the Stanley Cup, and now that incredible feat is chronicled in a new book about love, war, history, and sickness. Surprisingly though, the author, he never mastered the sport, and his only interest was diamonds. Diane Duthweiler introduces us to Kevin Tyson.
Oh boy. I've been to one hockey game, one NHL game in my life. I can ice skate a little bit, but I've never had a hockey stick in my hands.
Baseball is Bellevue native Kevin Tyson's sport.
Tyson, kind of a self-made guy, was a walk-on for the Huskies, eventually made the club, and now has a chance to be a draftable player. He's had a big year.
1999.
And that one drilled deep towards right center field.
A decade after this hit for the University of Washington,
All right, you guys want to play bump?
Kevin is raising a family in Seattle and working as a sports marketer when he learns the first American team to win hockey's Stanley Cup was the 1917 Seattle Metropolitans.
There were like school kids that had climbed on top of the arena to look through the transoms, look through skylights so they could see it. It was standing room only within the arena.
Kevin scouted for someone to chronicle the team's twists, turns, and characters, including the colorful coach, Pete Muldoon.
He took a disparate crew of outcast guys that had been cut from other teams, and they all have their best, seasons and like longevity of their career under him.
But no one wants to write the story.
The thought of what these guys went through and what they accomplished, and to have it just be completely lost to history was sort of the driving force in making me want to do this.
So Kevin, these are some of the photos I really wanted to show you.
Kevin quit his job to write the book. One of the clinchers, a neighbor willing to share his collection of 100-year-old Seattle hockey mementos.
And there's our Seattle Stanley Cup champions and their vignette glory on a postcard.
But within a week, many are putting on new uniforms, drafted into World War.
The entire celebration, everything is curbed with guys going off to fight in the war, and the roster gets split up and the team gets disbanded.
Suited up again by 1919, the Seattle Metropolitans are in the Stanley Cup finals again, facing Montreal, tied with 1 game left.
The Spanish flu pandemic that's ravaging the world finally hits Seattle and kills one of the Canadiens' players, hospitalizes 4 of the other players.
Still the only Stanley Cup played with no declared winner.
And this is, to my knowledge, the only surviving example of a scorecard from 1919.
It was a lot of fun to be able to write a really powerful, inspiring sports story and then layer in the historical context.
Kevin's sports story is powerful too.
I got to the UW and all of a sudden everyone was just as talented as I was. And I got cut from the team. I was really lucky 2 years later to basically be brought back onto the team.
We talked about Kevin Tyson's power. This senior has put up 11 home runs now.
Being terrified every day I showed up, there's going to be a pink slip in my locker that I was getting cut again. And I ended up being like a pinch hitter. I was the guy that they'd bring in the 9th inning to get the hit when it mattered.
Under it, makes the catch. Huskies are the conference champions for the 2nd year in a row.
He heads to minor league pro ball in Boise.
The fan base was really into the team and the game and the players and all that stuff.
Next stop, the Midwest.
Was doing well my first year and then ended up getting hit by a pitch at the end of my first year and broke my ulna and ruptured a ligament in my wrist and tore all the cartilage, and it just effectively ended my career. I'm 23 years old at that point, 24.
1 year later.
My college coaches got me a job playing in Vienna, Austria. And so then this is the jersey when I went over there. And so I played 2 seasons and met my wife over there.
Kevin and Michaela moved to Seattle.
So I was coaching at the UW for 5 years and had finally gotten on the field. Yeah, it was one of those moments where I was finally sort of getting my break and getting enough experience to be able to continue to grow and move on, and I got sick.
Kevin learned he had cancer, then lost his job.
Nobody was going to hire somebody with 3 kids under 5 and in the middle of chemo, at a high level of baseball. And so, it's just like I was out of baseball.
Still sick, Kevin put on a uniform again to coach elite high school players. He coached all the way through to recovery. He still coaches that team, telling players, winners, look forward.
If you can't see the bigger picture at the end, you shouldn't be trying it in the first place.
But right now, Kevin is looking back, trying to give us the bigger picture of Seattle's nearly forgotten hockey history.
So they played their best when it mattered most. And it was funny, like the second I saw it, I was like, that's the title. There's part of me that felt like it was an opportunity to do justice to these guys and tell their story and get it out in the world.
The Seattle Metropolitans played for 5 more years, but their final blow came in 1923 when the Seattle Ice Arena on 5th and University was torn down. As for Kevin, he's giving book talks and looking for his next job. I'll take that for my very first try at lawn bowling. We'll be right back. Well, that wraps up this week's episode of CityStream from the Jefferson Park Lawn Bowling Club. If you want to learn more about the club or try lawn bowling, just visit seattlebulls.org. I'm Tatevik Aprikyan. Thanks for watching.